Podcast. I'm your host, Marshall Farnsworth, here with Alex Breitenbach. How's it going?
Going well. It's great to be back. Another week, another good song we got for you. So it's exciting. Busy week, but other than that, I'm doing okay.
The Gambler by Kenny Rogers. We're going to get into in a second, kind of briefly tell why I kind of picked that song and obviously get into the song. Before we get into that, some podcast news real quick. So we wrapped up that month. We now have the official monthly streaming record for us, 278 streams. So we came in just shy of doubling our previous record, but still is way
That's
over
good.
the other record.
Just a tad bit more.
Yeah, quite a bit more. Yeah, about 100, over 100 more streams than the last month.
Oh, that's good.
And then I've got some Brooks and Dunn news, believe it or not, quite a bit of some Brooks and Dunn news. This first one I kind of put first. I'm not 100% sure if I've mentioned this on this podcast before. You can tell me if I have. If not, or if I have, then maybe I'll just edit this out. So it says Kix Brooks and this other pop country singer, Ray Lynn, are going to appear in a new 2020 Hallmark Christmas movie, A Nashville Christmas Carol, that will premiere November 21st.
So, what's it? Ronnie Dunn's doing it?
Kix Brooks.
Kix Brooks. Oh, that's crazy. I mean, Ronnie Dunn's graduating from country music, is now moving into the acting world. Has he been in any other movies before? I don't know.
It says on his Wikipedia he has appeared in some here or there, but this one he's not starring in it. He's only appearing in it. So it could be, it's kind of small.
So he's doing a cameo. Oh.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Okay.
But it sounds like it will be something I'm interested in looking at because I think it's kind of country music related to Christmas. So, other bit of news is, did you watch CMT Music Awards? Were last night when we are recording this?
Oh, I only caught little bits and pieces, but did you catch it?
I watched some of it. We kind of probably had it on for about 30 minutes, 45 minutes while we were making dinner. I saw Morgan Wallen. I did not see Brooks and Dunn though. I watched them this morning though. YouTube video. They performed One Too Many with Luke Combs. So you can watch that video if you want. Pretty good one. It's not one that's too heavily Brooks and Dunn. They sort of, if you know the song, they don't play a massive role in it. They kind of, it's funny, if you watch the video, Luke Combs is singing, and towards the end they kind of stroll out like ghosts. They're looking pretty old, walking out and start singing and stuff. Kix Brooks especially has a very tiny role, although it's kind of funny. Kix, he goes out there and the spotlight goes on him, and he just he hands Luke Combs a beer, and he says, "You got to catch up to us."
That's funny. Kind of like passing the metaphorical torch there. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of symbolism in that. I mean, yeah, beer is prevalent in country music, but it's so much more when you're the singer-songwriter of the hit One Too Many, and you hand Luke Combs the beer. So here, I'm gonna pass you the torch. That's cool.
Well, the song is actually Luke Combs' song. It's the one that Brooks and Dunn is featured on.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, I didn't know that. Thank you for that. I apologize.
The other one that they had performed before was the Brand New Man with Luke Combs. So that's Brooks and Dunn's song. Luke Combs is on it. But
oh yeah.
And the last bit of news. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say that's kind of like, his cover. I honestly think that, he sings more of that song than they do. They just do a little bit of backup for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Last bit of news is this is the biggest one. I just saw today Ronnie Dunn announced on his Instagram that he is in the works on a new Ronnie Dunn album. So that's pretty cool. He has came out with quite a bit of albums recently after Brooks and Dunn kind of broke up the end of the 2000s there. He had 3 albums in the 2010s, and then he just actually came out with that really big album where he was covering a lot of songs. I think it's called Redone, early 2020, like January 2020. So he's in the works of another album, hopefully
Damn, that's
coming
cool.
out next year.
Can't wait. Can't wait to see it. It's gonna be a happy day. Gonna be much celebrating on the day that Ronnie.
All right, so let's get into this song, Kenny Rogers, "The Gambler." Now, I kind of picked this song. I'm trying to, for these country classics, kind of look at the big name artists that we can't miss and get kind of their most popular song. So I recently found out Kenny Rogers is actually the #3 best-selling country artist of all time. We already did Garth Brooks. He's the #1. #3 was Kenny Rogers, and "The Gambler" definitely his most recognizable song. I think it's his most popular song currently on Spotify, and it's second, I believe, in overall streams for him, just shy of "Islands in the Stream" by Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers. So this is what it has to say on Wikipedia about the song. It says "The Gambler" is a song written by Don Schultz and recorded by several artists, most famously by American country music singer Kenny Rogers. Don Schultz wrote the song in August 1976 when he was 23 years old. It took 2 years of shopping the song around Nashville before Bobby Bare recorded it on his album Bare at the urging of Shel Silverstein. Bare's version did not catch on and was never released as a single, so Schultz recorded himself, but the version failed to chart higher than #65. Other musicians took notice and recorded the song in 1978, including Johnny Cash. Didn't know that. Who put it on his album Gone Girl. We'll have to listen to that version as well. It was Kenny Rogers, however, who made the song a mainstream success. His version was a #1 country hit and made its way to the pop charts at a time when country songs rarely crossed over. It was released in November 1978 as the title track from his album The Gambler, which won him the Grammy Award for Best Male Country Vocal Performance in 1980. In 2006, Don Schultz appeared in the Kenny Rogers career retrospective documentary, The Journey, where he praised both Rogers and producer Larry Butler's contributions to the song, stating they added several ideas that were not mine, including the new guitar intro. It was one of 5 consecutive songs by Rogers to hit #1 on the Billboard country music charts. On the pop chart, the song made it to #16 and #3 on the easy listening chart. It has become one of Rogers' most enduring hits and his signature song. As of November 13th, 2013, the digital sales of the single stood at just under 800,000 copies. After all these years, the single is yet to be certified gold by RAA certifications. In 2018, it was selected for preservation in the National Recording Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, or artistically significant. Following Rogers' death earlier this year on March 20th, 2020, The Gambler soared in at number one on the Billboard's digital songs chart, followed by Islands in the Stream with Dolly Parton, also debuting at number two. So the content of the song. It says the song itself tells the story of a late night meeting on a train bound for nowhere between the narrator and a man only known as the Gambler. The Gambler tells the narrator that he can tell he is down on his luck, out of aces, by the look in his eyes, and offers him advice in exchange for his last swallow of whiskey. After the Gambler takes the drink and a cigarette, he gives the following advice. The famous chorus here: you've got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the deal is done. The Gambler then mentions that the secret to surviving is knowing what to throw away and knowing what to keep, and that the best you can hope for is to die in your sleep. At this point, the Gambler puts out the cigarette and goes to sleep. Shortly thereafter, he indeed dies in his sleep, as he had hoped. Somewhere in the darkness, the Gambler, he broke even, and the narrator finds an ace that I could keep, in his final words. The song in 1979 peaked at number 40 on the U.S. Billboard charts year-end chart. As far as the weekly charts, it peaked at number one of the U.S. Hot Country chart in the U.S. and the number 16 chart on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100. A lot on Wikipedia about that song. So, what do you think about this song? Obviously, I'm sure you like it, but what else do you think?
I mean, I don't just like it. I love this song. I mean, but this song is not. In my opinion, I never really regarded Kenny Rogers as a country artist because I didn't know much about Kenny Rogers before I heard this song. And honestly, to this day, I still don't know very much about Kenny Rogers. But I do know this song, and like this song is a timeless classic. Like for anybody who's anybody who knows who Kenny Rogers is, knows this song. And even if you don't know who Kenny Rogers is, chances are you've heard this song somewhere because it's everywhere. And it definitely, as you said before, it was like, a artistical piece of history or whatever you said, the Library of Congress or something, inducting it into, like, regarding it as that. But I mean, that is, and it's well deserving of that because it's mystical. It's, it is a piece of history. It doesn't even, like, even when I heard it for the first time, I didn't know it was that famous. When I heard it for the first time, I'm thinking like, oh, well, it sounds like historical, or like it has a piece of history associated with it. And I mean, there is a certain aura, a certain mysticism, and, like, this awe surrounding, like, the myth of the gambler, like, the traveling peddler, the gambler that, spends his life reading cards and betting his life in some cases on certain things. And I think that there's a lot of, like, this song has a lot of morals in it, in my opinion. I mean, just breaking down the lyrics, like, these are full of, like, I don't want to say life hacks because that wouldn't do it justice, but like just advice, because you can tell that the gambler's character, he's a wise person, he's old, he's kind of lived his life. I've I've made a living out of reading people's faces and knowing what the cards were by the way they held their eyes. Now, that's not even like it in this case, or in my opinion, I think you could read that as like not even just playing cards, not even just gambling. Like that's like, I've made like a living out of, or I've lived my life going through life, like, reading different people and knowing, again, like he says, knowing what to throw away, knowing what to keep. Maybe that could stand for certain relationships or people in his life that he runs into. And again, like when he says the best that you can hope for is to die in your sleep, like the game of life is not easy in any way, shape, or form. And man, is it like it does take a lot of luck sometimes to get ahead and stuff. And this is, for me, like, this song means so much more than just about what it says. And I think that, it's a beautiful story because everybody knows, like, because you can picture it. You picture them on the train, and like you picture them sitting together, and you can just see it happening as Kenny Rogers is singing this. And I'll tell you, it was heartbreaking to me when I found out that Kenny Rogers did not, in fact, write this. And I've said that before on the podcast. I know, and I'll say it again, but it was heartbreaking when I found out that Kenny Rogers did not actually, in fact, write this, because I'm like, wow, it sounds like he's telling his own story. He's telling it so well, but it's not his original story. He didn't really contribute to it, but he definitely performs it well. And that's one of the things that, and like you said, it was his version out of everybody else that recorded this song that made it big. And I think there's a reason for that, because Kenny Rogers is just an unbelievable vocalist, and he's an unbelievable singer, and he tells the story very well. And it's a it's just such a great song, and I think that
Yeah.
it's timeless. I think that, generations from now, people are going to look back on, like, still know this song. This is one of the songs, even if Kenny Rogers is not immortalized, the song will be. It's like, even if he's a one-hit wonder, because I'll be honest with you, I don't really know very many of his other songs. This is the one song I know, but it's a good one. And it is definitely, and like everybody remembers that chorus, because, like, and even breaking down the chorus, and I know I'm taking a little bit long here, but like, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. That's basically like two big lessons in judgment there. Not even with regards to cards. Like, you never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. Don't be arrogant. Don't sit there and show off what you've got. Hide it so that nobody knows, and that's how you succeed in life.
Yeah.
Know
Yeah.
what to throw away, know what to keep. It's a gamble.
You said it very well. A few things I'll say. First of all, this is a song, love the song, by the way. Just throw it out there. But a song that I haven't really listened to much in the past like decade, you know. Just haven't really listened to it much. I remember it kind of one of those songs growing up as a kid that you always kind of just hear here and there. You hear one of your relatives, older relatives, make a reference to the song. You don't know who Kenny Rogers is. You don't know the Gambler, but you might hear it on your grandpa's old radio, or you might hear someone reference the song, and that's kind of what I think about this song is stuff like that. Like you said, the the chorus, the thing that people always said when I was growing up is, you never count your money when he's sitting at the table. And I didn't know, what the hell that song, or what that was from a song, or what that was, but people always, the song is about a gambler, and it really has nothing to do with someone at home counting their money at the table. It has to do with counting your money at a gambling table, which is completely different. But it was funny how people took that and then, exactly like you said, use it as like a moral type of thing. And I remember one time I was sitting at home, and whatever, I had some money from a birthday or something, and I was counting my money. I was counting my money at the table, little 8-year-old, 10-year-old kid. And whatever, one of my parents, or I think they said, you never count your money when you're sitting at the table. And I think it was more had to do with the fact that other people, were there. And so it kind of was disrespectful that you're, counting, you don't count money in front of other people. Just not
But
something
that
to do.
teaches you, don't it?
Yeah. And so
That
it's
teaches
like
you a
it's a
lesson,
funny
man.
thing
That's the
because,
life morals.
yeah, it's a funny thing because in the song, it's kind of a different, it's supposed to be kind of a different meaning, but it is very true in the other sense as well. And yeah, so that teaches you that, and I just really like it. And it's not, I I want to listen to a little bit more Kenny Rogers. When he passed away earlier this year, I listened to the Kenny Rogers radio on Spotify, but I didn't listen to the. I have to go ahead and listen to the "This Is Kenny Rogers" playlist. I'm gonna go ahead and listen to that. Just listen to like a couple hours of Kenny Rogers. I've been meaning to do that, so I'm gonna do that and kind of dive in a little bit more. I don't have a whole lot to say about him overall as an artist, but this song, it's just one of those songs, like I said, that you just kind of, it brings you back to growing up when you're like a real little kid, and your parents are teaching about morals and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I mean, my mother used to sing the chorus all the time when I was a young kid. It was one of the first things I remember hearing. Like, she used to sing this, and what else was it? "Joy to the World" by
Three Dog
Three
Night.
Dog Night all the time. And I had no idea what she was singing, what she was talking about. I had no idea, like, because again, like you said, you're sitting at the table counting your birthday money or something, and your mother says, "Oh, be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. Never count your money when you're sitting at the table." And I mean, that honestly, that is, I didn't know that until I was maybe in like freshman year of high school as eighth grader or something like that. Because I didn't know what that came from. And honestly, before then, I wouldn't have been able to tell you who Kenny Rogers is. And again, like, I think that, the song is so much more than just the game, like, just gambling. It's about, the choices you make in your life and what guides you through life. Like, life isn't easy, again, and the best that you can hope for, he said, is to die in your sleep, die peacefully. That way you don't have to go through it.
Yeah,
And
before we
that way you don't
go,
have to wait. Yeah, because everything in life is a risk. Everything in life is a gamble. Like, we never know what's going to happen when we make one decision versus another, and that's the throwing away and keeping part. I think that's the moral of the story there. Like, you know you have these cards in your hand, you can play it two or three ways, but you won't
yeah,
know what it's going to be like if you played it another way.
yeah, before we go,
But
yeah,
that's a great
one other thing I was
that's
gonna
my
say
spiel.
is that, yeah, the part about dying in your sleep, that was, when I was listening to it, I was like, I don't remember that from growing up. It's like I'm like, yeah, I know what you're saying. Like, if we're all gonna pass on, it's like that's the way to do it, die in your sleep peacefully. But I'm like, no, that's your only goal, or what does he say? That's the only thing he cares about or something, is to die in his sleep. I'm like, that's a little
Yeah, the
depressing.
best that you can hope for.
That's the best you can hope
I
for.
mean,
I'm
yeah, it's
like,
better than, yeah.
I
That's
guess if he's
kind
a
of the
real old,
analogy.
he must be a really old guy if he's saying the best he can hope for. Because at this point, I'm like, no, that's, you know, when you're 20 years old, that's probably not the best you can hope for.
Life is stressful, man. I mean, and and this is probably from the perspective of the gambler, like you said. I mean, the the gamblers, in the old west, man, they don't know when they're gonna die because they slip up and then they get shot or something because somebody thinks they cheated, or what's it? There's an analogy in the American Remains. That's a good song by Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, the Highwaymen. Uh, that they have an analogy to that, but I mean, it's personally, I take it to mean like, oh, like these lyrics, like, oh well, the best that you can hope for, like, because every hand's a winner and every hand's a loser means you could, like, it doesn't matter what decision you make, you could win or you could lose depending on how you make that decision. Like, you don't know whether one decision will be good or bad before you make it. Like, it's just, and
Yeah.
I guess for him
I get
in
what
this
you're saying.
story, the best that you can hope for is to die in your sleep so you don't have to deal with that stress.
That about wraps it up today for Kenny Rogers, the gambler. About to actually go watch some night we're recording this. Watch some Thursday night football. Your New York Giants taking on the Philadelphia Eagles.
Damn.
Two bad
Yeah.
teams, but actually they're
Darn.
in the thick of it in the
Yeah.
division run. Danny Dimes.
Yeah. I mean, the Giants, man.
Hey, you know what? I picked
They've had a
them.
horrible season so far.
I picked them to win last week, and they won first win of the year.
Lucky.
Well, they were playing a
how
bad
much
team.
did you get from that? They were playing. Okay.
It was in our season league where we have to pick one game for each. That is it for the Red Dirt Road podcast today. Catch us next time.